night. They played a great game. They had the game, but I don't know. I couldn't do nothing for them. That's the saddest thing I can say right there.
Did you just not feel it right? Was it the issues with fans, or did you just from the get-go just not feel it? How much pride away from it?
I didn't feel comfortable.
Damon hasn't practiced for 2 weeks.
I'm trying to feel comfortable out there. It didn't work.
How's the injury?
I ain't worried about it no more. I got plenty of time to think about that.
Did you put a percentage on it?
On what?
His health? The
50%?
Joe, why the suspension? Reeves?
It was a team matter. It's going to remain private. It's between MAAC and ourselves and MAAC's mom and Niagara University. What I do want to share with you is that it wasn't. He didn't do anything illegal. He didn't steal anything or break any laws, and it wasn't drug related. He didn't do anything with any illegal substances, and it wasn't academic. So, but it's going to remain private. It's a team matter, and it was a difficult thing to do, but. You know, I couldn't follow back to Mike Herman.
Joe Mihalik talking about James Mook Reeves, their freshman center who was suspended for the one game. Purple Eagles lose it as you look at Bobby Gonzalez, the head coach of Manhattan. And also the obvious dejection of Damon Stewart playing on a bad foot. Also having fouled out of the game early. There's Louis Orr, the head coach for Siena. And you saw Michael Schmidt. You didn't actually see him. He had his head buried in the entire time.
Michael Schmidt, Dow Green, they shouldn't be hanging their heads. They should be proud of themselves. They played a great game.
As we're set to start things off, let's send it over to Teal, standing by in the corner. Teal.
Hey, thanks very much, guys. Manhattan is down to just 8 guys. Justin Jaquette, who was the catalyst for this team, went down with a knee injury. He would be the one to stop Dwayne Archibald, their leading scorer. Ironically, both coaches had the same mentor, Pete Gillen, at Xavier, but have different coaching styles. Bobby G works as hard on the sidelines as players do on the court. Louis Orr is very laid back. However, both coaches are very defensive-oriented. Back to you.
Justin Miller gets Siena on the board first with the layup. Bruce Seals tries to answer, but Miller, the freshman from Western New York, with the block shot and runs the floor the other way. Isaiah Stewart for 3. Cavo lost it out of bounds. It's Manhattan basketball. Speaking of Justin Jaquette's injury, again, hard to really see it, but right there, injured his knee. You can see him go down. He sat out the rest of the game. And the MRI showed enough damage that they said sit him down for the tournament.
And a big reason why Manhattan's been successful in their first 2 games is the defense. Speaking of Jaquette, they forced Siena into 38 turnovers, and they've defended the three-point shot beautifully. 11 for 41. They've held Siena down behind the arc, and they've out-rebounded by 15 in the 2 games. So D is the key for Bobby Gonzalez's squad. Without Jaquette, some other players are going to have to get it done that much more on the defensive side of the ball.
The Jaspers turn it back over to the Saints. Siena comes in with a record of 19-10, 12-6 in league play. They tied for the regular season championship along with Niagara and Iona, and through the tiebreaker system finished up 3rd in the seedings. Meanwhile, Manhattan 500 on the year, 14-14, having won their last 2, 5 of their last 7, and 10 of their last 15. Archibald fouled. He'll go to the line.
And this is what makes Archibald so dangerous. His ability to not only beat you on the perimeter, he's a solid three-point shooter, 40%. Look at him dip in between, beat the double team as it converged. I mean, Archibald shoots 40% from the three-point range, but more importantly, he's been to the line. This is a 152nd free throw attempt. That is a lot of times at the charity stripe.
Archibald, a second-team all-conference performer as a junior out of Brooklyn's Robeson High School.
13th, by the way, in the MAAC conference in free throw percentage, 72%.
He's among the league leaders in scoring, rebounding, and those free throws, Jack. Led Siena in rebounds. Knocks them both down.
Siena 22nd in the country right now in free throw percentage. And they've been one of the tops the last 4 years.
Isaiah Stewart steals it from Von Damian Green. Back come the Saints the other way. Corner, Cabo, 3.
And this is Siena's style of play. Getting out, getting some turnovers, playing loosey-goosey, knocking down threes.
Very quickly, Bobby Gonzalez burns a timeout off of the Andy Cavo three-pointer from the corner.
You know, you can't allow the momentum and the tempo of this game to work in the favor of the Saints.
The winners of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award, Carmen Massarello from Siena College, and from Niagara University, Becky O'Donohue. Now, Massarello, a marketing major with a 3.58 GPA from Shenendehowa High School in Clifton Park, New York. O'Donohue, meanwhile, a communications major with a 3.65 GPA from Dobbs Ferry, New York. The New York Lottery will provide new computers to their elementary schools, and the award is always based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery supporting education since 1967, saluting Carmen Massarello and Miss O'Donohue on their achievements. I've got to look back up on top. It's Becky. All right, we're taking another look at the turnover.
Stewart with the steal here. Knapp with the kick out. Stewart getting out in the open court, and then bang, the open three for Cavo. You know, I did the last game that these two teams played at Madison Square Garden for MSG Network at the MAAC Challenge, and Siena was woeful. Shot 38% from the field, 53% from the free throw line. That's unheard of for the Saints. They turned it over 23 times, and they lost 56-51. I mean, that's not a game you expect Siena to play in, but they did, and they want to play a lot quicker pace this evening, a lot more wide open. And again, the Jaspers, a bit down in numbers, get into their bench, create some depth issues for Bobby Gonzalez and his staff.
Bruce Seals from the left corner. Rebound, Dave Holmes, knocked away on the putback, and it's Manhattan basketball.
You know, I made the point, I think it was early this afternoon, about Bruce Seals. I mean, you don't have Jaquette tonight. You need Seals to have a big night. He gets that clean look from the corner, like a Cavo for Siena. It's got to be lights out. You got to put that one down.
Kick ball on the inbound. Shot clock at 35.
Only shooting 28% this year. And, you know, he hasn't gotten as many of those clean opportunities as he did a year ago because he was an unknown quantity. But when you get them, got to make them.
Last year's MAAC Rookie of the Year had the big 41-point outburst against Canisius. And also was the Citizens Communications long-distance shooter of the year. Just haven't seen it so much this year. Here is Seals, inside Holmes. Foul against Siena.
Pushing inside. It looked like Dwayne Archibald. A little too physical around the basket.
Siena foul number 24, Dwayne Archibald.
Dwayne Archibald picks it up, his first, and Siena's second.
Mentioned free throw shooting, how poorly they shot at the Garden. Last year, Siena in the top 10, the two previous years free throw shooting, #1 in the country. So they shot 53%. A definite aberration.
This year also among the nation's leaders as well, just not quite as good.
22.
Miller couldn't save it. Stepped out of bounds, yeah, number 22.
And Justin Miller's had a terrific rookie year for the Saints, averaging 8 points, 4 rebounds. And against Manhattan, he's played very, very well. At the Garden a few weeks back, 11 points and 10 rebounds. One of the few bright spots for the Saints in that one.
Terrell Brown misses the turnaround. Isaiah Stewart, rebound taken away by Green. But Von Damian Green stepped out of bounds, so it'll be Siena ball. And the Jaspers will press off of the inbound.
This is a homecoming for Miller, of course, from Lakewood, New York, Western New York player, Southwestern High School, all Western New York. And has really developed nicely for the Saints. I mean, you think about the injuries to James Clinton and Dale Taylor, you know, opportunity knocked, and Miller has taken advantage.
Absolutely. He began the year not buried on the bench. He was getting into each game and playing a few minutes, but he's evolved very quickly into a force as a starter for Siena.
What's the line? One man's misfortune is another man's opportunity.
We just caught a quick look at Dale Taylor, who's unfortunately lost the bulk of this his junior season because of that stress fracture.
Only played 9 games this year.
Backdoor pass. Miller on the layup.
Oh, what a solid usage of the ball screen. Knapp goes off the ball screen right to left, and he goes back against the grain, and Miller just rolling right down the lane. More and more in college basketball today, you see ball screens. 5 years ago, you didn't see it a whole lot. Now it's coming back. A lot more of the NBA culture coming into the college game, particularly with the 35-second clock. You've got to have more quick strike opportunities in your offense.
Over 3 minutes into the game, Manhattan still scoreless. Knapp from downtown. Green the rebound. Quickly up ahead, the Jaspers push it to Darrell Brown. Spin move to the basket for 2.
Darrell Brown.
Darrell Brown, the go-to guy for the Jaspers, scores his first 2. Cabo, the finger roll. It rims out. Holmes the rebound for Manhattan. Here's Darrell Brown to the corner. Spud Johnson. That's a three-pointer, and just like that, Manhattan's back in the game, down 9-5.
Good timeout by Louis Orr. You know, neither coach wants any major run to take place. So Louis Orr, bang, right away, settle his troops down. And watch the ball screen. Talk about this. Watch Knapp coming off the ball screen one way, and then bang, going right back against the grain. That is beautiful teamwork, executing off the ball screen. Look at the ball movement here. Darrell Brown swinging it to the corner. Muggsy Green, Spud Johnson knocking it down.
Hard to keep Muggsy and Spud
I love
apart
it.
sometimes. You know the best way to keep them apart? You can go online at MAACsports.com, and they will have all the bios for each of these guys, and you'll know Spud from Muggsy right off the bat.
I got it down pat. I just saw it 2, and I didn't see whether it was the 1 or the 4.
Okay.
24-21.
All right. MAACsports.com, though. Great
like it.
source of information. MAACsports.com.
I like that little cross-promotion there.
It's a segue.
It's a segue. You are smooth. Speaking of smooth, Dwayne Archibald. How was that segue?
Very nice.
40% from 3.
5 points now for the 6'6" junior from Brooklyn.
Just like Coach Orr drew it up.
That's right.
Kick it up, shoot for 3.
Muggsy Green with a great pass to David Holmes.
Muggsy Green, 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, second in the MAAC conference in assists. 40% of Siena's shots come from behind the arc, so you got to do a good job getting out and guarding.
Justin Miller fouled by Holmes on the post. 2 of the best rookies in the conference matching up. And so Miller will go to the free throw line.
Think about the turnaround Manhattan's had. On January 10th, they were 4-9. From that point on, they are 10-5. So they have completely turned this thing around. Bobby Gonzalez, last year they win 12 games, 9 in the MAAC. This year, 14 wins, 11 in the MAAC. And I saw him at the press conference the other day. I told him, I said, Gonzo, don't win too much too early. You know, build the expectations a bit too much. Creep, crawl, walk, run. And if you look at what he's doing with this program, I'd say they're about to begin the walking stages.
I don't think any day begins without Bobby Gonzalez running. I think his feet hit the floor, and he's off like a shot. 2 for 2 from the line from Justin Miller. What was that?
He's hyped.
Oh, yes. 14-7, Siena on top of the Jaspers on the MAAC Television Network. Siena 14, Manhattan 7 early on here in our 4th quarterfinal at the HSBC Arena. And HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. Tickets and programs for today's quarterfinals provided by HSBC, your world of financial services.
You know, I mentioned the turnaround at Manhattan. How about the last 14 games for Louis Orr's Siena squad? They're 11-3. And, you know, it's nice to see the last 3 years, this Siena squad has gone to the MAAC finals. And I think they're pretty happy to see Buffalo. In spite of what Scott Knapp says about Buffalo, they won it here in Buffalo in '99, went to the NCAA tournament. So this building's got some good karma for them.
What you're alluding to about Scott Knapp's comments regarding Buffalo, he made disparaging remarks about not wanting to ever enjoy. He never enjoys coming to Buffalo.
Come on, he hasn't been to Rich Stadium on a Sunday afternoon and tailgated with me. He hasn't hung out with me and tailgated.
There's Scott. And
he hasn't been out on my boat in Lake Ontario.
Of course, he's greeted 3 days ago coming to Buffalo with the Buffalo News having it in a headline with a picture saying he didn't want to ever come to Buffalo.
He hasn't had some wings at Duff's. He hasn't been to the Anchor Bar.
He's just a kid. He can't go to the Anchor Bar.
They have wings there. You can have some pop. Soda.
Okay.
A few wings.
Scott recanted, though. His dad, who's a coach, was his high school coach at Vernon Broder. Cheryl said, hey, son, they're going to let you have it when you get out to Buffalo.
This is the age of political correctness, son.
Scott took it back a little bit.
I like it, Doug. It stirs the pot a bit.
Exactly.
And the Canisius fans will be reminding him of that tomorrow if they win.
James Clinton into the game with a dribble. Prosper Karangwa has also come in for Siena.
You gotta have these little subplots.
Yeah.
Makes things interesting.
Like you say, too much political correctness here.
That's right. Call it like you see it.
10 seconds to shoot. Dwayne Archibald one-on-one. Clinton spots up from 18. Air ball. And a rebounding foul against Von Damian Green.
Otherwise known as Muggsy.
Muggsy. Von Damien, one of the best newcomers in the conference, not eligible to be Rookie of the Year. He's a junior college transfer from San Jacinto Junior College in Texas. Clinton fouled on the double team, and so James Clinton will go to the line for 2.
Nice having him back, obviously, into the lineup. Coming back from the stress fracture, only played 15 games, but he's a very capable guy, averaging 7 points a game and tremendous free throw shooter, shooting 85% on the season. So, you know, the one thing I think Siena's lacked this year, if I could critique them, is that consistent low post presence inside. I mean, Miller has had a fabulous year shooting 50%, but he's more of a step back guy. He can score around the basket, but Clinton's got a little bit more of the pure 5 in him, the center position. And, you know, Archibald can go into post and make some plays, but it's nice having a big fella. You can get some quality touches and some high percentage looks around the rack. Full court pressure, 1-2-1-1.
Now 16-8 Siena. Seals to Michael Johnson.
Good decision. You don't get the layup opportunity, pull it back, grind out your offense.
Willie Haynes with the basketball into the game for the first time for Manhattan. Brown fouled by Isaiah Stewart, who didn't give him any room to land on that entry pass. So Stewart picks up the personal.
Good pass in the post here. Good position. Look at Brown getting position, throwing it right over the top. And that was solid help defensively by Isaiah Stewart, but just a tad bit late, a half step. That's what you want to do. On the lob pass, the weak side defender, you've got to be there when the ball's in flight. As the ball's coming into the guy's hand, you're there to deflect. A half step slow.
Green, Seals, Johnson.
Louis Orr likes to change his defenses off of inbound plays. Now they go a little 2-3 zone, as I mentioned with Scott Hicks this afternoon. A disciple of Jim Boeheim, who loves to use the 2-3 matchup.
Dwayne Archibald to Prosper Karangwa right through his fingertips and out of bounds.
And they had a breakout. They had numbers. Didn't cash in.
Full court pressure by the Saints off the turnover.
Got the officials here tonight.
As we usually do.
Bob Adams and Pat Driscoll. Timmy McAleer. By the way, did you know Pat Driscoll, our official here tonight, one of the officials, his brother Gallagher,
yes,
who was a great player at the College of St. Rose in Albany, is Scott Hicks' assistant?
Yes, I do.
At Loyola, I wonder if that benefits the Loyola bench during the course of the game, having a brother that refs in the league.
That's Jack Armstrong suggesting that, not Doug Sherman. Just for the record.
Actually, sometimes I think it hurts that he don't want to be accused of anything. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm sure that Brad Tracy, the head of officials, will love hearing those comments from you, Jack.
I'm just kidding. Brad Tracy, by the way, is probably up in section 302 in the last seat, hanging out with Bob Uecker. When he comes to these games, that's the most thankless job on earth, to be a supervisor of officials.
He gets to hear from all 10 coaches every day.
Everybody calling and complaining.
What's going on?
I got a raw deal, all that stuff. He's up in the last row.
You got his number on speed dial still.
I used to call once or twice a year. But when I called, I let him have it.
Michael Berman and J.J. Harvey have come into the game for the Saints. Karangwa, too strong on the runner. Seals lost it out of bounds. It's Siena basketball. Jared Johnson in. Bruce Seals goes out.
I like Jared Johnson. I mean, he's a solid role player for them, averaging 7.6 rebounds a game. And against Siena, same averages on the season for them. And Siena doing a good job off that inbound play, going right inside to Karangwa.
6'7". Michael Johnson, 5'11". They found it.
Exactly. And he's an intriguing talent, Karangwa, because he's got the versatility in his game to play all 3 perimeter positions. And yet he's 6'7". But look how slender he is. And but I think when it's all said and done, when he continues to bulk up a little bit and truly defines his skill level, watch out.
Well, he speaks a multitude of languages. Actually 4. English, French, Creole, and a dialect of his native Burundi.
Wow.
You speak any Burundi?
No, I speak the King's English on occasion.
Once in a while you mix it in.
I mix it in. You don't want to hear it on live TV. I think I would no longer have my job.
Karangwa hits them both. Bruce Seals and Scott Knapp come back
My
in.
mother would be awfully
Yes,
disappointed.
she would. Is she listening right now?
She is. I got to say, that's why I worked that in, by the way. I got to say hello to my mom back in Brooklyn, New York. She's watching on MSG Network. So hello to Mom back in Brooklyn. She's got the cable going.
Well, I got to say hi to my mom then.
There you go. Go
in
right ahead.
Elbridge, New York, either watching on Empire or MSG. She gets them both.
And we've worked 8 hours. We're entitled to one shameless plug.
J.J. Harvey with the ball for the Saints. Siena jumped out here tonight, 9-0. And they lead right now by 10. Just over 7 minutes gone. Scott Knapp with the basketball. Here's Karangwa again posting. They bring Seals in to better defend. Makes the shot tough. Clinton was up above the rim but couldn't get the tip in.
Got to get a body on him. And, of course, Berman as well does a tremendous job getting those second opportunities.
Darrell Brown, the little leaner.
Tough shot.
Yeah.
Kind of in between. Wasn't sure if he wanted to bank it or go tin, and he took it to the tin.
Harvey's pass deflected out of bounds. Siena ball also into the game. Jerry Clark, a reserve guard for Manhattan. There's Jared Johnson.
And that's the problem for Bob Gonzalez tonight. Really only has 8 players available to play. Obviously, Sean Kelly, a walk-on local product as well from Orchard Park High School, on his squad, but down in numbers tonight. Foul call against James Clinton.
Siena foul on number 22, J.J. Harvey.
Oh, J.J. Harvey, okay.
That's his first personal and the 6th.
Number 1 on Harvey, number 6 on Siena. Both teams have committed 6 here in the first half.
Talk about free throw shooting as we get close to the bonus. Manhattan 9th in the country in free throw shooting, so they get it done as well.
High-low. Johnson to Brown, taken away by Knapp, but he was on the end line.
That was a gorgeous feed inside by Johnson, but Scott Knapp, as we talk about on that lob pass, the help side defender, as the ball's in flight's got to get there. Watch Knapp, the ball's in flight. Watch how he reacts. Gets there, brings it down, bang. When you receive the ball in traffic like Darrell Brown, get it up above your shoulders. Better Kevin McHale, I've never seen anyone better. He'd get it up with those long arms. You could never strip him.
Darrell never saw Scott Knapp sneaking around his hip. 10 seconds on the shot clock.
A lot of post players have a bad habit, too, of putting it to the floor when they get it inside. That don't help you.
Blocking foul on Berman. This is a young man who, Jack, back in the Canisius game at the Pepsi Arena, 7 charges
I'm right
he took.
on you, babe.
I know.
7 charges.
This is a guy with a split lip, with a surgically repaired knee. And here he comes once again, giving up the body, but picking up the foul this time.
You know, if John Madden were here tonight, I think he would definitely be on the old Madden team.
He'd be the MVP of that team.
If Big John had any idea about hoops, I'm sure he does, but he's just not here this evening.
I'm sure he does. So Seals to the line.
Berman's like one of those offensive guards, you know, he's just a blue-collar guy, brings the lunch bucket.
Bruce Seals, sophomore, as you saw, from Ashland, Massachusetts. Attended Winchendon Prep School before coming to Manhattan College.
Last year averaged 14 points a game. He's 6 points off that average this year.
The Jaspers within 6 despite having just 1 field goal in the last 4 minutes. We've got a timeout with 11:52 on the clock in the first half. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. 18-12, Siena leading Manhattan. And today's game and our Citizens Communications, did you know, is Manhattan senior Darrell Brown scored his 1600th point earlier this season, and actually he has tonight with his 4 points moved into a tie for 4th place all-time in the history of Manhattan College hoops.
And speaking of Manhattan College, how about the great former player, coach, and athletic director at Manhattan College, Jack Powers, is recovering from surgery, the executive director of the NIT. We just want to send out our best wishes to Jack Powers. And by the way, Rich Henson wants me to let him know there's some good teams in this league. They would love an NIT bid. By the way, here's a guy that's not concerned. He's not concerned with an NIT bid right now. He wants an NCAA bid. 2 more wins and he's going.
I think
introduce the guy. Go ahead.
Mike McDonald, head coach of the Canisius Golden Griffins, pulling off the, I'm going to call it a very mild upset, but a thrilling game nonetheless. Welcome, Mike, and congratulations.
Thanks, Doug and Jack. It was a great game, and I think you have to give a ton of credit to Niagara, DeMond Stewart fouling out, and those guys. I mean, Daryl Green, we couldn't stop him, and that 3 that he took, I'm saying short, please. Oh boy, here we go, and I'm thinking overtime. But it was just a I mean, it was a great game, and I thought very well played, too. Both teams not a lot of turnovers. You know, the defense picked up a little bit in the second half. And, you know, Doug, whenever you show up, we seem to have exciting games,
I like that. I like that.
Mike,
I don't.
I made the point. I thought Niagara did a wonderful job tonight in their defenses of really making it difficult for you to pound the ball inside. Fenn and Bush were so effective in the first 2 meetings, but your guard play was spectacular tonight.
I think you're absolutely right, Jack. We couldn't get it in. You know, one time out, Darren Fenn came over to me and said, I'm working to get it in. I'm working in there. I said, yeah, but they got 2 guys in gray around you.
I hide my
it's
ball
real
spot,
tough.
by the way.
Oh, they get you, Jack?
I don't know if I have a ball spot. My wife tells me I'm getting one.
I don't know. From broadcasting? Jack, I don't know about that. You're looking too healthy nowadays. Back when you were coaching, maybe. But I agree with you totally that Niagara's defense was outstanding, and they really controlled the tempo most of the game. But I thought, you're right, our guards, Clive Bentic and Brian Dukes, both played very, very well.
Now, Clive Bentic, regardless of what happens the rest of the weekend, 20 points in the first game, 26, I guess, in this one, plus the game winner. He's already on the all-tournament team with plenty to go.
I think.
Don't tell him that yet.
I don't think Clive's worried about that. He wants to play 2 more games, and the way these 2 teams are playing, well, I've seen this before. We
started twitching there.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly.
I just want to ask you one question. Talk about the play call that you made when you ran the ball screen for Dukes going against Green, and he turned the corner. That was a big play in the game where he got fouled, and you went from 2 to 4.
Well, we're hoping to get the N1, and then we could have really relaxed. But we've been doing that a lot with Brian, and Brian's very good at getting in the paint. He's deceptive. I think you look at him, and I know, Jack, you like his socks.
I love his socks. Best socks in MAAC basketball.
He doesn't look like he's going to go by you at times, but he's very quick, and Darren made a good screen, and he was setting the down screen to keep the weak side guys occupied, and we were able to get Brian into the paint and at least get fouled and get him to the line. And if he would have made 2, it would have been real easy. But all year, you know, Jack, we've been saying that we've had 11 games that have been decided on the absolute last possession. And it's amazing when you think about it, that we had, you know, going back to the one you did with Siena where Scott Knapp, we've had games win on the last shot, lose on the last shot, or overtime on the last shot.
Right.
And I'm talking the absolute last shot, and that makes me
makes
me an old 34, I'll tell you that.
Talking to the head coach of the Canisius Golden Griffins, Mike McDonald, and one of these 2 teams will be your opponent tomorrow afternoon in the semifinals.
Don't ask him who he prefers.
Nope.
That's the dumbest
I hate that question. I'm going to ask him, what are you
Coach,
seeing out here? What are you seeing?
Both teams.
What are you seeing about this game so far?
And don't give us any coach speak
I would
here,
never
Mike.
ask
I don't want
that
any
question.
coach speak.
Be
I
quiet,
respect
Mr.
both teams.
Armstrong.
Here's what I see. Bobby Gonzalez is extremely well attired. He's got the bright red tie. Louis Orr's got the NBA double-breasted suit, and I think either one of them, I'm in big trouble.
There you go.
In big trouble.
Well put.
All right.
Well put. I like
had
that.
to ask. You know, the
that's
first,
good TV.
The first rule of journalism, I learned it in the Newhouse School, is when you do an interview, your last question, not that this is the end of it, Mike.
Get out of here, Mike.
What is next for you? What is next for you? So the next thing is the semifinals tomorrow afternoon for Canisius. And I didn't ask. As Stewart hits, who would you rather face?
I think, you know, both teams are very good, and both teams we've had great games with. We had a great game with Manhattan here about 2.5 weeks ago, right in this arena, that was decided right near the end. We ended up winning by 5. And with Siena, we won the first game in Buffalo way back, it seems like about 2 years ago in early January. And then we played that game at the end of January where we had the lead and we let it get away from us. And Scott Knapp hit a big 3 with 9/10 of a second. And certain people go on the Empire Sports Network and just kill me for not fouling, Doug. I don't know who that might be.
Might that have been Coach
I
Armstrong?
didn't kill you. I just stated
just
all the
murdering
options.
me.
Wait till you watch the tape tonight. I said, I brought it up and the ball came in bounds. I said, does Canisius give the foul on Darryl Green and prevent the 3? You don't. He makes the 3.
Yeah, no, I know we didn't, and I haven't. We haven't done that all year. One of the reasons is we're not a very good rebounding team on the free throw line, and we've gotten a lot better on it the last half of the year. We've practiced a lot more, but that's one of the reasons we've tried to.
And
stay
I got
away
all
from
the
it.
answers here now. Isn't it great?
You've always been right.
I couldn't do anything on the sideline, but I got all the answers here.
I remember you kicking my rear end once or twice.
No, but we had that great debate, and Green hit the shot too quickly for us to even really get into it, that he got it off with like 7 seconds to go, that up until that point, we both were thinking, do you foul here, do you let him go?
I thought, especially in this situation, there was too much time. You know what we were going to do? If Brian Dukes had made that free throw, Andy Bush was coming in for Rick Hampton, we were going to go zone, up 4, and then if they hit a 3, we're still up 1. And I was kind of banking on Brian to make the free throw, you know, which you always do. And at that point, we didn't have any timeouts left to set anything, and you always worry you foul the jump shooter. And especially with that much time left, as you saw, they missed the shot, we get the rebound, we're going to go to the free throw line.
It's always interesting, too. You always win on a broken play. I mean, Bentic, even though he gets the layup, he misses it, and it's a tip back.
That's right. That's right. One thing we said in the huddle is that go to the boards because the second shot is usually the one that wins it. And we were, fortunate we were right. And I told everybody how, I think I said it to David Scott, that, Clive came out of the huddle and said, don't worry, Coach, I'll miss it, and then I'll make it. And that'll give them less time to score. Because I think if there was any more time on that clock, the way it was going, Darryl Green or Darden or somebody was going to hit something.
He's a lot smarter guy than us, that's for sure. Being able to
predict. You mean Clive Benton? Yeah. Well, that must have been a true roller coaster of emotions because once he saw a little daylight in the paint, you're thinking, he's going to hit it. He gets it up on the rim, it rolls off. Oh, we blew it. And then he gets it and puts it in. I mean, up, down, up, down.
Well, incredible. And then, Doug, there's 1/10 of a second left, enough time for them to tip it in. And our guys are rolling around on the floor like it's a mosh pit. And it's funny.
Right.
Earlier today, my two oldest sons, Matt and Patrick, they were saying, when are we going to get one of those pylons like they had against when we beat UB in the same thing? Hadari Mallory tipped it in. We won the game, and everybody piled on in the middle of the court. And they wanted a pylon. And I'm sitting there going, we got the pylon now, and we don't need it yet. There's still a 10th of a second left.
Plus, you want the walk-on on the bottom of the pylon, not Clive Benton.
And I did want to ask you, bring up your sons. The last time we saw you, one of your boys had been in the hospital.
That's
How's he doing?
Nicholas was in the hospital with pneumonia, and he's doing fine. Thanks, Doug. He's doing great. And he got out. He was in Children's Hospital in Buffalo. They did a great job with him, and we were very, very lucky. And when you have a youngster who was only 9 months at the time in the hospital like that, you realize how fragile life is and how you realize these are just games. These are games, and they're played by kids, and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to miss free throws. They're going to miss defensive assignments. But the most important thing is that they play hard, they have some fun, and this is a game we keep everything in perspective.
Well, this is one of the games that you'll be able to pull the tape out in a few years and show Nicholas the excitement that we had here today at the HSBC Arena, this Western New York battle. A terrific game, and Mike, congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you
Mike.
very much. I tell you,
Thanks
the
for
thing that is worse, the worst thing about it for me, I'll tell you, is that Joe Mihalik is a very good friend, as I know he is of Jack's too, and he's such a good guy. And for anybody to lose that game is just it's a shame, and there's nothing that you can say to him at this point. And I just feel very badly for him.
Well put. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
On to the Final Four. Iona, Marist, and Canisius still around, and either Manhattan or Siena will join them in tomorrow's semifinals.
Mike's got a late night in the living room with the clicker and the tapes.
Coach Mike McDonald, good enough to stop by for a few minutes.
3 a.m. with the pretzels.
That's right.
And the yellow pad and the clicker and pen.
You've been there before.
Many times.
All right, back to this game. Siena on top, 25-19. The Saints over the Jaspers. And if this game has any of the emotion that last game had, we're still in for quite the ride.
Well, both teams have really done a nice job so far in terms of keeping the tempo at a high pace. The game that they played at the Garden a few weeks back, the 56-51 game, was an ugly half-court trench war. Tonight, a little bit more movement and fluidity to it.
Darrell Brown.
Darrell Brown saying to Pat Driscoll, the official, where's the N1? Sweet pass into the post, though, by Spud Johnson.
Andy Cabo, Isaiah Stewart, Carmen Massarello, Scott Knapp. There's the lob to Cabo, but he came up short on the layup.
Oh, a nice screen that time by Carmen Massarello, freeing him up. Cabo got to finish it.
Darrell Brown, Von Damian Green, Bruce Seals, Jared Johnson, and Michael Johnson on the court for the Jaspers in their green uniforms. They're the lower seed. They tied for fourth place. Spud Johnson lost his footing. We've got a bumping foul. Von Damian Green will go to the line.
Green, a terrific free throw shooter, by the way. 81%. He's fifth in the MAAC. So this is the man you want on the line. And in spite of the fact that Siena got off to that great start, Manhattan settled into a groove here, and they're stuck four.
Von Damian out of LaSalle in New York City. He's a Harlem kid, and there are a lot of LaSalles around. You talk about LaSalle up in Niagara Falls.
Well, no longer,
but for many years. LaSalle in New York City. There's a LaSalle in Troy.
LaSalle University.
LaSalle in Philadelphia. You're right. LaSalle University.
LaSalle Thompson had played in the NBA. Now I'm going out of my mind here. By the way, Bobby Gonzalez, talking about New York guys, he said the team with the most New York guys would win this late game because they're so used to staying up late at night.
Not a bad rationale. Not bad at all. We've got a timeout. The Jaspers trailing the Saints, but only by 2 on the MAAC Television Network.
Marist College prepares students to compete in the .com world, educating the mind as well as educating the heart. Marist is committed to helping students develop the strong values to serve them well beyond their college years. Marist is a member of the Templeton Honor Roll, a select group of 100 colleges and universities nationwide, recognized for their commitment to inspire students to lead ethical and civic-minded lives. Marist College, proud of its heritage, preparing tomorrow's leaders.
Siena 25, Manhattan 23, 7:10 left to go in the first half. And on Thursday night, the awards banquet was held, and the Pepsi Rookie of the Year goes to Loyola freshman guard John Reimold. Does it from the outside and from the inside. There you see against Canisius earlier this year. Number 5 scorer in the conference. He's a dead-eye from the perimeter outside the three-point line. John Reimold, the Rookie of the Year, brought to you by Pepsi here in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. And also the MAAC basketball tournament goes back to Albany next year, February 28th through the 4th of March, as once again March Madness returns to the capital city of New York. For ticket information, 518-487-2000.
Speaking of Albany, how about the Siena Saints? Their defense has really improved the last 8 games. They've held people to 59 points per game on 35% shooting, and that's been the difference to this turnaround. That's the thing Louis Orr stressed to his team. Improving a half-court D, because come playoff time, that's what's going to win for you, and his team has done just that.
All right, Jack, let's go in and check out with Teal once again.
Hey, Jack, I'm with you about that late-night New York stuff. Bobby Gonzalez did have his kids in here and watching the women's game until about 11:30 last night, feeding them some donuts and getting them ready for tonight's game. But also, he said, you know what, guys, we're only down by 2. We haven't even started playing basketball yet. Get the stops to get into transition and don't turn over versus the Saints pressure. The Seattle Saints, excuse me, the Saints, every time down the floor, they switch it up. Man-to-man, 2-3 zone. That's Coach Orr's philosophy. Loves to switch it up, but it doesn't seem to be bothering Manhattan at all. Back to you.
Carmen Bassarello for 3. Siena's lead is back to 5.
Bassarello, capable three-point shooter, 31%. By the way, I coached Carmen on a tour in Greece a few years ago.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
When he was at UNH?
I had him at Tariq Kirksey, Kashif Hamid, Marcus Faison.
Darrell Brown.
Summer of '97. Carmen was at New Hampshire at the time. Good shooter.
He and Andy Cavo both transferred from UNH to Siena a couple of years ago. Sat out last year on the transfer year, and now their first season.
And I couldn't hang with Carmen because he's a lot smarter than I am. I know he's the academic guy.
Oh,
so
yeah. 3.6 GPA.
He was way too intellectual for me to hang with.
There's Carmen off the up fake. Pass deflected out of bounds by Green. With 13 seconds on the shot clock, Jack, Siena will have the ball back on the baseline.
You know, those cerebral guys always intimidate me a bit.
Absolutely. I noticed that while we're doing
yeah, you were a little. I can notice you're a little intimidated by me. The Newhouse School. I'm impressed dropping out. Oh, excuse me, Syracuse grad.
Oh, this coming from Fordham. No slouch. You can drop that on anybody.
5-second violation.
5-second violation on the Saints, and so the Jaspers get it back.
Dave Holmes in the ball game for Manhattan. He replaces
Dave Holmes replaces Jared Johnson for the Jaspers. Scott Knapp in, and J.J. Harvey goes out for the Saints.
I talk about the improvement of the Siena team. How about the fact that they were picked 7th preseason? So you talk about teams that have overachieved. Marist probably the first in that category. Siena second. 4 of their 5 starters last year graduated. 70% of their scoring they lost. Plus their head coach Paul Ewing, who's having a great run at Georgia Tech. So Louis Orr's squad has really played beyond expectations this year. And again, the D down the stretch has been the focal point of what they're doing.
Well, Dave McGarity, the Marist coach, rightfully so, won the MAAC Coach of the Year. But even though they don't announce the voting, I would have to think that Louis Orr was a close number 2.
I would agree. So Siena does see how they shift up to the 2-3 zone on the inbound plays. Good job by Karangwa shooting the gap. That was a long pass from point to wing that time. Dangerous.
And so Prosper Karangwa was fouled on his way to the basket. It'll be 2 shots.
Now, I think when you make a pass from that distance, point to wing, you've got to be absolutely sure it's going to get there. And that, more than anything else, you've got to recognize where the defense is, read the white shirt, because if not, you're making the first pass to Karangwa on the fast break for the other team.
Absolutely. Here is Karangwa once again. 2 for 3 at the line, as you see so far here tonight. This is the 4th of our 4 quarterfinals. The winner of this one gets Canisius tomorrow afternoon at 2:30.
This is such a dangerous squad for Bob Gonzalez to play against, particularly without Jaquette tonight. And they have swept them. But Louis Orr spreads the wealth. He's got 12 players on this team this year that have averaged over 12 minutes a game. So a lot of balance. And the bench provides half of the points per game. So they can really beat you from a lot of different positions, Doug.
Jerry Clark on the right wing.
Again, any inbound scenario, 2-3 zone for Siena.
Shot clock at 10 as the Jaspers try to find a seam. 4.5 to go here in the first half. This for the tie. No, Massarello got a hand on it. It goes out of bounds. The officials will come together. Pat Driscoll says stay at this end because Massarello was the last to touch.
You know, I'm a big fan of when a referee isn't sure,
Absolutely.
ask for help. And, you know, even if it takes all 3 guys to get together.
No shame in that.
Not at all. I mean, get the call right. I mean, we all make mistakes. That's why they put erasers on pencils. But needless to say, I mean, you want to make sure you come together. You have the eraser on your pencil.
Not much left, though.
Not much left. You've made. Well, I can tell why.
Covering for my partner.
The response. The retort. Sorry.
Just over 4 to go here in the first half. Dave Holmes banging with Michael Berman underneath in the middle of that 2-3 zone.
Doing a nice job on a baseline. When they try to go inside, they've really spread the Manhattan offense out. Nothing going to the basket.
Muggsy to Dave Holmes, knocked out of bounds, but a foul with 3 showing on the shot clock.
You know what I really like about that time? Spud Johnson kicked it to Green, and on the catch, watch how Green on the reception of the ball, he's already on the move. Bang, little crossover, getting in the lane, drawing Berman to him, and then a strong take by Holmes in the lane. Terrific piece of ball handling in the lane.
Holmes at 75% of the year, misses the first. He's 11th in the conference in free throw percentage.
All rookie player this year, and you know, he was 3 weeks consecutive rookie of the week. You know, the only other guy to ever do that?
L-Train?
No, Brian Clifford, Niagara, 1990.
You remember that?
I sure do. Big redhead playing overseas still. Canary Islands.
Making some good change, I'm sure.
A few shekels, having a good life. Good kid, hard worker.
He was always a kid who enjoyed life off the court, right?
He did.
He was a
Woodside kid.
There you go.
Enough said. If you know anything about Woodside.
Here's Clinton. Looking for help. And now a 5-second violation. Clinton frustrated with his teammates as they didn't help him out getting open. We have a timeout, 3:24 to go in the half. Siena leading Manhattan by 3 on the MAAC television network. Siena 29, Manhattan 26, 3:24 to go here in the half, and Disney's Wide World of Sports has joined forces with the MAAC to create a unique experience for the athletes of the MAAC. Here's a listing of the upcoming conference championships at Disney. Men's and women's golf in April of 2001 and 2002. Women's soccer in November of this year, and then women's volleyball in November of next year. For ticket and travel package information, you can visit 2 different websites and get what you need, MAACsports.com and AnthonyTravel.com, for information about heading down to Disney along with the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
Siena showing a little 2-2-1 after the timeout. Love changing their looks. Primarily a man-to-man half-court team, but they'll change their looks. All dead ball situations. Louis Orr likes to mix it up, give you something to think about. A little 2-2-1, back to the 2-3.
Now Louis Orr having won 11 of his last 14 heading into the postseason, having done a lot of things right.
Winningest rookie coach in Siena history. And he's tied for most wins for rookie coaches in the United States. So the former New York Knick having a great run.
Darrell Brown off the nice feed from Bruce Seals. The Jaspers are within 1.
Penetration starting to hurt Siena out front a little bit. Little drive-bys setting up easy opportunities around the bucket. Manhattan with the 2-3 zone again, changing up, keeping each other off balance a bit.
Cross court to Knapp. That's really his first open look from outside. He misfires. Karang with a rebound. Went right into traffic and gave it away to the Jaspers.
But Siena's a good offensive rebounding team. They've had 71 more than their opponents because they shoot the three quite a bit. Those long rebounds, they came up with the second one, but didn't take advantage.
We've got a timeout. Chance to send it over to Teal.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot. I was in the huddle of Muggsy. Said, hit the sideline, hit the middle. Sorry, just looking at Muggsy Green. Looked like it went out with a back injury over there. Get the ball into Muggsy Green, get into a rhythm, but obviously he's not in the game right now. But get to your money player. Go inside to Darrell Brown as they did that last possession. Back to you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Muggsy very gingerly sitting down on the bench. Under 2 minutes to go here in the half. Bruce Seals left wide open, way short. Rebound bounced around, came to Darrell Brown, and both officials on the baseline said offensive foul. Siena no field goals in the last 4 minutes and 15 seconds, but still playing a little bit of defense here.
Sure is, and replay here going strong to the basket, but as we talked about many times, Michael Berman stepping in, doing what he does best. Knee brace and all.
Taking the charge.
Taking a charge, and here's Doc Johnson tending to Muggsy Green right now. Really, his back's bothered him. How about Doc Johnson, a trainer at Manhattan? 54 years he's been a trainer at Manhattan. He is an institution.
He has seen it all in his days in Riverdale.
Class act.
Darrell Brown fouled by Berman. Brown will go to the line with a chance to give Manhattan the lead. Siena had jumped out 9-0 at the start, but Manhattan hanging around.
I mentioned before, Doc Johnson, J.B. Bono, the trainer at Iona with even more than 54 years. And then recently, over at Fordham, Jim Wilson, a trainer there, had over 40 years. So combined, you're talking about 3 trainers within about an 8-mile radius had put together over 140 years in the business.
Amazing. It's truly amazing.
Took care of a lot of kids over the years. You know, the art of a great trainer is why I was so fortunate at Niagara to have 2 great ones, Ray Kist, the late Ray Kist, and then John Monroe, the current trainer. And, you know, the ability to communicate with the players, they're like an extension of your coaching staff. Sometimes the kids go to them and talk and kind of get their problems off their chest, and they could be a tremendous asset to your program.
Darrell Brown hits a pair. He's got 13, and the Jaspers have taken the lead. 30-29 Manhattan. Austin Andrews and Isaiah Stewart back in for Siena. The drought for Siena now has reached 5 minutes.
This is what happened when they played in the Garden. They went through long stretches where they just became dysfunctional offensively. Gotta love that shot opportunity from Knapp, but no go.
Siena ball, great effort by Bruce Seals, but he was unable to save it.
I mean, if you're Louis Orr, you're shaking your head right now. I mean, what better look can you get in your offense? You're getting one of the top 3-point shooters in the country, and Scott Knapp, 3rd in the league. You get him a clean look. Got to live and die with that, baby. First lead of the game for the Jaspers.
Cavo an open look. Nothing but net at the 1 minute mark. Siena back on top by 2.
We talk about, they are 14th in the country. We talk about the fact that 40% of their shots come from behind the arc. They're 14th in the country in 3-pointers made. So they're a confident bunch. They'll keep shooting it.
Darrell Brown missed on the pull-up. Stewart the rebound for the Saints, and he dribbles out. 6-second difference between the game and shot clock. Stewart jacks it up. He was fouled.
4-point play.
A chance for a 4-point play. Spud Johnson whistled for the personal.
And that was from deep. Look at Stewart. Look at his recognition this time. In the open court. Gets a little bit of a screen there. And then that's a good call by the official, Timmy McAleer, the foul on Spud Johnson. A little bit of a brush screen in the open court by Austin Andrews, just giving him enough space. And look at Justin Jaquette walking wounded, walking his teammate Green off the court. It's a tough sight for the Jaspers.
J.J. Harvey now in the lineup for Siena.
There's Von Damian.
Oh, boy.
Lower back pain, it appears.
Hopefully it's just spasms. We'll get a report to you as soon as we can.
34 seconds until halftime. His teammates will join him shortly. Back in the Manhattan locker room. They trailed by 6 moments ago. They were up 30-29, but Siena has put together a quick 7-0 run.
An interesting stat with Manhattan. They're 13-3 when they lead at half. They're 1-11 when they trail. So the tempo and the control of it is so important in terms of how they establish their game plan.
Seals with 9 seconds left in the half.
Big shot.
The 3.
I talked about him being a major key to their success tonight. They needed that.
Harvey at the buzzer, short with a runner. And we've got ourselves a close ball game. As expected, the Saints of Siena leading the Jaspers of Manhattan in this MAAC quarterfinal, 36-33. The winner of this one gets Canisius tomorrow in the semifinals. We'll take a break and have our halftime show for you when we come back to the HSBC Arena here in Buffalo.
I assumed that college would be a long series of lectures, tests, and papers. That was until I went to Niagara University. I put my logistics major to work as an intern at Praxis. I was so well prepared that after a short time, I was offered a promotion in a full-time position when I graduated.
At Niagara, learning inside and outside the classroom are both important. We encourage students to have active learning experiences in research, internships, co-ops, and study abroad.
Niagara University. Make your education an experience.
Back in Buffalo at the HSBC Arena, we're at the half with Siena leading Manhattan by the score of 36-33. And we take a look at the regular season standings to see how we got to this point. Standings brought to you by I Love New York in a 3-way tie for first. Iona, Niagara, and Siena. Through a tiebreaker system, the Gales got the number 1 seed, the Purple Eagles 2, and the Saints number 3. And then just a game behind, tied for 4th, you had Marist, Ryder, and Manhattan. A crazy season, no doubt, for 2000-2001 in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Welcome back, everybody, to halftime of our 4th men's quarterfinal. Along with Jack Armstrong, this is Doug Sherman. Glad you could stay with us here tonight for all of this hoop. We started early this morning and still going, and it's going to be, well, we might be off by midnight.
This is hoops nirvana.
You can't beat it.
You got to love it.
Now, that first half, Siena jumped out 9-0. It looked like they had the tempo that they wanted, but Manhattan held on and was able to take a lead briefly and make it close.
Game of runs here so far. I thought Manhattan did a much better job adjusting to the changing defenses of Siena. A little more dribble penetration, getting into the gaps, creating some better opportunities. You need Bruce Seals in the second half to make some big shots. Now with the injuries mounting up on the side. And on the flip side, Siena's done a good job of getting quality shot opportunities on the perimeter for their shooters. Some have just not dropped, but big shot down the stretch there for the 4-point play for Isaiah Stewart.
And we'll see how Von Damian Green reacts to treatment in the locker room with a lower back problem. Scores from earlier in the tournament brought to you by Citizens Communications. In the play-in games, Loyola beat Fairfield in an upset. St. Peter's lost to Canisius. And the Griffs seem to be the golden team at this point with the big win earlier tonight. On the tip-in by Clive Bendick to beat Niagara to reach the semifinals. You see Marist and Iona both won this afternoon. And so Siena and Manhattan trying to join the Gales, the Red Foxes, and the Golden Griffins in the MAAC semifinals tomorrow afternoon. When we come back, we'll have the TV schedule right now. That's 2 games in a row we've had trouble with our TV schedule. We got it now.
What's going on?
Tomorrow we'll be back on the air at noon.
Really? Early.
You'll be here.
I'm ready.
Both got a shave, though.
I know, I agree.
Noon tip-off for the first men's semi with Iona. And then the second men's semi.
Iona and Marist, by the way.
And Marist will also be there, thank you. Getting a little punchy. And then the women's championship at 7 o'clock. Who's in the women's championship
I have no
game?
clue.
And then the men's championship Monday night on ESPN. 7 o'clock here at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo. 36-33, Siena leads Manhattan at the break. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the New York Lottery. New York Lotto, will you be ready if it happens to you? By Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Budget. Get out of the ordinary with Budget. And by Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. At the half of our fourth men's quarterfinal here in Buffalo, Siena leading Manhattan 36-33. The Saints under the direction of first-year head coach Louis Orr, a 1980 Syracuse grad. He spent 2 years with the Indiana Pacers, another 6 with the New York Knicks, and now he's in his first year as a head coach. Howard Simon and our crew with the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference had a chance to put together a retrospective on the career of Louis Orr. Let's take a look.
As a leader, a silky smooth slasher with a sweet touch, Orr led the Orangemen to great success just 2 decades ago. Following Syracuse, Orr landed in the NBA as a versatile swingman for the New York Knicks. Competing at the highest level of the sport, Louis Orr became known for his scrappy, hard-nosed approach to the game, using grit and determination to provide the edge his physical presence could not. Orr provided the Knicks with a perfect example of what a true winner can be.
5 seconds. Tied at 109. Here is Orr. Yes! At the buzzer! And the Knicks have defeated the Celtics.
Now as head coach of the Saints, Orr continues to wear the badge of superhero, only this time it's the players he coaches who are benefiting by his presence.
He's a real good guy. He really takes care of us as players, and he really wants us to gel together as a team, and he's a real good guy to be around, and I couldn't have a better coach right now in my junior year.
He's a great guy. He's dedicated to what he does. Coming out every day, he's ready to work. He tries to get us motivated, and he's a good coaching staff behind him. He's a great guy.
First with Pete Gillen at Xavier, then Jim Boeheim at Syracuse, Orr refined his coaching skills under the tutelage of 2 of the greats in college basketball. This season, he's had to learn to adapt to a new role, Division I head coach.
Just being involved in every aspect of the program. And, you deal with the alumni relations and going to luncheons and things of that nature. Basically, pretty much just being the focal point. That's the biggest difference. And the game, just being involved in everything that goes on during the game in terms of the calls and the plays and the defensive responsibilities.
Defense has always been a trademark of Louis Orr basketball, and in this, his first year at Siena, Orr has had an immediate impact on the Saints program.
Obviously, that's like respect there you have to give him right off the bat. I mean, once you hear that your coach has played in the NBA, you know he's been around the game and he's had experience. And then with his coaching experience also at Syracuse and the places he might have been, I mean, you got to respect somebody like that.
He always tells some of the guys that he didn't have as much talent as they did, or he couldn't play as hard as they did, but he knew how to compete, and he knows what it takes to win. He's been there already. He's been where we're trying to go, so he's been there.
Orr came to the Loudonville, New York campus, where he inherited a Siena program steeped in a tradition of success. This year's senior class could become the winningest class in Saints history, and fans on campus and around the capital region have grown accustomed to MAAC championships and appearances in the NCAA tournament.
Oh, they definitely pay attention. You know, it's one of those special places where everyone keeps up with Siena basketball. And it's a great atmosphere. It's a great environment for a young person to go to school because, you know, people pay attention and they want to see you do well.
The mark of a good teacher is an ability to learn, and Orr has learned much in his first year at the helm.
It's a constant learning process, but you grow. It's about growth. Life is about growth to me. Everything you do, if you don't grow, then things will pass you by. So I'm growing.
Louis Orr, a deeply religious, deeply impassioned man at the helm of the Siena Saints as they lead at the intermission by 3 over Manhattan on the MAAC television network. Siena 36, Manhattan 33. The winner of this one goes on to the MAAC semifinals tomorrow afternoon here at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo. And it's been a big game so far for Darrell Brown. He leads the Jaspers as expected in scoring. He's already moved into the 4th all-time slot in Manhattan College scoring history. Another 4 points. He'll move up to number 3 as we take a look at the first half highlights. Darrell doing it from not only the inside, but knocking down jumpers as well, Jack.
We have a lot of jumpers on this sequence. Darrell Brown knocking it down, 13 points in the first half, leading the Jasper attack. Coleman Maciello knocking down the open Jimmy as well. And then Andy Cavo, he's got 6 points tonight, knocking down the open Jimmy. And then last but not least, Bruce Seals. I mentioned earlier that Jaspers are going to need him to get it going in the second half. He knocks down a 3. He's got 7 points, 2 of 8 shooting on the evening.
Halftime statistics brought to you, Jack, by Citizens Communications. What's jumping at you?
Not much, really. I think the big thing that jumps out at me probably the most is the fact that Siena making 6 threes, shooting 50% from there. But beyond that, pretty well played game. Both teams taking care of it okay. I think it's really going to come down for Manhattan in the second half. How do they withstand the injury in the backcourt and whether they can defend on a perimeter?
Speaking of which, let's get an update on the health of Von Damian Green. We send it over to Teal.
Yeah, hi, guys. It really doesn't look good for Von Damian Green. He was limping in the weight room. They have some ice on his back, his coccyx. It could be just a bruise, but they can't take any chances. He's walking very gingerly on it. Back to you.
Thank you, Teal. Not good news at all for the Jaspers, but we have seen time and time again in college hoops. There's Von Damian coming out. When a star player goes down, quite often, Jack, as you've seen many, many times, other players are capable of picking it up. We'll have to see whether Von Damian can get back into the game or not.
Doc Johnson, if there's a trainer that'll get him going, it's Doc.
So Spud Johnson will take over many of the point guard duties. Archbold the rebound for Siena. Archbold, Stewart, Knapp, Cavo, and Justin Miller for Siena. Darrell Brown, Dwayne Archbold, Isaiah Stewart with the ball, Scott Knapp, and Andy Cavo out there for the Saints. 19:35 to go, second half, just underway. Siena led quickly in the first half, 9-0. And then a little 7-0 run late in the first half. There you see, well, looks like Von Damian Green's going to get back in.
Doc Johnson giving a green light on the bench there to Bobby Gonzalez. He's like Allstate, you're in good hands.
Double figures now for Justin Miller to lead all Siena scores with 10. Darrell Brown leads Manhattan with 15 points now.
Good job getting it deep inside. Darrell Brown knows, he understands the urgency of the situation here. This could be his final game of his career. Doesn't want it to end here. Good job defensively. Manhattan really starting to extend the man-to-man defense. Pressuring.
Stewart using the Cavo screen. Too strong. Jared Johnson the rebound for the Jaspers.
Remember, he got the 4-point play earlier on that same ball screen play.
Bruce Seals, the runner, somehow got it to go. And Justin Miller is down.
He got hit hard on that. That was a nice play by Bruce Seals on a penetration. Bobby Gonzalez leaped out onto the court and jumped in the arms of Bruce Seals, high-fiving him. Look at his drive here. Good kick-up pass this time by Spud Johnson. And then putting it to the deck with his right hand, going strong. Justin Miller took the brunt of that one in the midsection. Stepping in, taking a charge.
Justin able to stay in the game, walked it off. Siena with a 1-point lead and the basketball. And yes, Muggsy Green is back into the game. Whistling a foul off the ball against Bruce Seals.
And he knew it. He's shaking his head, raising his hand. And Bob Adams.
There's
he got
Muggsy.
him.
Glad to see number 24 in green, Muggsy Green, back on the floor for Manhattan. Non-shooting foul, and so Scott Knapp will trigger for the Saints. Bounce pass to Miller. Lost it on the way up. And speaking of losing it, Holmes lost it right out of bounds. So Siena will get another chance.
It's getting late here, and both teams getting a little punchy, as are we.
A little bit.
Don't be messing with me.
11:09. Off of the inbound, another deflection. And then a travel on Brown. He had no choice. He was falling to the floor.
Can someone please control the ball here? We've had 4 straight plays. Bat it down.
Durrell sent to the official, Pat Driscoll. He pushed me. I wouldn't have just fallen.
All right, we have a completed pass.
Yep. But then a missed dribble. Jared Johnson fouled Andy Cavo.
Andy Cavo with the push in the back, non-shooting foul.
Was it me or was, well, we kind of didn't catch it there. There's the push.
And his hand on the ball. Referee saying he got the hand on the ball first before the contact. Debatable.
There's a double team in the corner on Seals.
Oh, good play right there by Siena. Occasionally in their 2-3 zone, they'll spring the trap, particularly if you bring it down in the deep corner. And now Manhattan has to waste one.
The Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Eastern Hockey Championship will be at Storrs, Connecticut at the Yukon Ice Arena. And that's just 2 weekends from now, March 15th and the 17th. For ticket information, call 1-877-ATUCONN. Along with Jack Armstrong, this is Doug Sherman in Buffalo, and Bobby Gonzalez in his second year as head coach of the Jaspers. Last year went 12-15. This year 14-14. With more impressive conference play, they really came together. 11-7 in league play. And you know what? Short of the Michael Schmidt three-pointer at the buzzer, Manhattan would have been the #1 seed in this tournament. If not for that one buzzer beater.
He's the 6th seed.
Exactly. They'd have gone from a tie for 4th and being that seed to being the #1 seed. Imagine how tight that is.
That's how good this league is and competitive, and how every play, you can't take plays off. This is one of those leagues that there's so many just little situations. It comes down to just small components. Bobby Gonzalez really trying to get Bruce Seals pumped up. I've noticed that coming out of the locker room in the second half. He realizes that with the absence of Jaquette, he needs someone else to deliver some big plays, and Seals has done it for him in the past, and not a bad night to do it. Went over and high-fived him again. There's Jaquette there, and
Noah Coughlin.
He's a terrific young player too. He's been bothered with injuries, and
unfortunately, we've not gotten to see much of Noah Coughlin over the years.
Natalie Attai, by the way, on the bench with the shirt and tie. I always like to see that in this day and age. A lot of times kids hang out with the sweatsuits on, and it's nice to see the young men wearing a shirt and tie. Last look.
What was the Niagara dress code when you were in charge?
Always sport coat and tie.
Very good.
Airports, you name it. With the exception of the bus, we'd wear the sweats on the bus. You're representing the school.
Seals gets all 3 off the Miller foul, and Manhattan takes the lead. 40-38. Scott Knapp still looking for his first field goal.
Good job by Seals as well. Right into him. Even though Knapp created that shot off the bounce, Seals rushed his rhythm. Oh, he's feeling it. He's got the mojo going. He is feeling it right now.
Bruce Seals now with 14 points. Knapp dishes to Miller.
Oh, that's a gorgeous pass getting into the lane. You got to get into him because he's so good shooting the ball. You have to crowd him and respect him. But he has developed. I remember Knapp as a freshman, more of a catch and shoot guy. He's really developed his ability to put it to the floor and create for teammates. And a jump shot sets up so many positives.
Seals missed on the 3. Dwayne Archibald, who's not seen a lot of minutes here tonight, back on the floor picking up the rebound. Knapp off the up fake. Inside Miller again. The threat of the jump shot makes his teammates better.
Gorgeous. I love the setup of that play. That's fundamentally as sound as you get. The shot fake. What's a shot fake? A shot not taken. The defender bites on it. Bang, one bounce. Look at his play right here. Seals bites on a shot fake. One bounce. Draw the defender to him. The help is there. That is a gorgeous basketball play. And look at Seals recognizing the defense. See you later. Beating Stewart off the bounce baseline and no rotation for help there. These guys are getting after it. You know, for a game this late at night, 11:15, body clocks are a little off, but playing a good ball game here.
Well, I asked both coaches earlier in the week, what do you do to prepare for a game that's starting this late in the game. One of the keys to the game that we talked about, and Coach Lewis Orr said, I just want to make sure the guys stay off their feet, but I don't want them just sitting around watching TV all day.
No question. And, you know, we want to try to do, when I was in this game a few times, actually 2-0 in this game. One of the few times I had more on the left column than the right, but how about that, huh?
Nice.
Can't teach hands.
We got to get another look at that.
There you go. Now
that's nice.
Getting on my case, huh?
Wow.
That's prime
You still got
time.
it. You still got it.
Hand-eye coordination. You don't teach that.
Nice.
God-given ability there.
That's better than Consor. I think he'd have been underneath the table. Spud Johnson misses the three. Manhattan ball. We send it over to Teal right now, standing by. What do you got, Teal?
Hey, guys, Jack Hurd is really having a tough game here. Only 2 points so far. Scott Knapp, excuse me, having a really rough game. But he's 1 3-point shot away from breaking the career record in the MAAC conference.
Oh, you know
struggling.
who?
Of Jack
Hurd.
On Jack Hurd. Thank you very much.
Great shooter for LaSalle. There's Scott Knapp. That's his first three-pointer, first field goal of the game.
Nice segue there by Teal.
On the line, so it'll be Manhattan ball. Justin Miller was the last to touch. We've got a timeout. 15:57 to go in the second half. Siena back up by 3 over the Jaspers, thanks to the 3 by Scott Knapp on the MAAC Television Network. Check out the hands of Jack Armstrong, former Fordham Flash, going up for the rebound.
There you go. Can't teach those hands, see?
Look at that. I was up here to try and take it from you.
The big wingspan. And post it up strong.
Get those elbows out.
That's right. Good post position.
All right, let's see a real ball player here. Scott Knapp coming
this
up
guy
with
can
a
ball.
three.
I can't play a lick. This guy can knock down a Jimmy from deep. Tying a MAAC record set by Jack Hurd back in the glory days of LaSalle.
And back in the early 90s. Hurd was on the tail end of that run of NBA players.
You know, it's interesting, too, you talk how dominant LaSalle was. Jack Hurd, there's a guy named Craig Conlon, Richie Tall. I mean, they had so many very good players as well as great ones. That's why they dominated this league. Joe Mahalik, by the way, the head coach of Niagara, a big part of the recruitment of all those guys at LaSalle. He can get it done on a recruiting trail, that's for sure. You see Tremel Darden, Mook Reeves. Another example of Joe's recruiting prowess.
Well, how long was Joe at Niagara or at LaSalle? Was it 17 years?
Yeah, paid his dues.
Boy.
Nice to see him get an opportunity. He's done a great job with it.
Cashing in, absolutely. Foul whistle win against the Jaspers.
Saints with a 3-point lead here. Manhattan's.
Jared Johnson picked up the personal.
Manhattan got the lead here, but Siena's responded well, turned up their level of execution another notch. They're really a lot more crisp in what they're doing.
Rimmed out on Knapp. Jared Johnson the rebound for the Jaspers, and here's Muggsy Green. Still, you can tell he's not 100%. Spud Johnson for the tie. Jared Johnson soaring above the rim.
That's what I said I loved about Jared Johnson. He can go and get it on the glass. Tremendous loose ball rebounder. Sets screens. Does all the garbage work in the scheme of things for the Jaspers, but a valuable member of the squad nonetheless.
With the left-handed tip.
Sweet.
45-44. Nearly 5 minutes gone here in the second half.
I got to give Matt Tullis the award of the day for the tip dunk.
Yes. And we got a nickname for him now.
Really?
Rocky Tullis. With the cut and coming back in.
Look at Jared. Look at Jared Johnson.
Number 20.
Look at the hustle
30,
here.
rather. Number 30.
Missed shot. Look at Johnson. He comes into your screen little by little. Look at that. Just jumping through everybody. And that's a tough play because you got to be able to put the ball on your finger pads and be able to tip that in nice and softly. And you're moving at such a rapid speed. Not an easy play.
Seals fouled by Knapp.
You know, Seals is doing a much better job here. Last 2 minutes of the first half, and now just playing with that extra energy burst, moving without the basketball, and looking to make plays. You know, just letting loose and saying, hey, this is a new season for me. It's been an up and down sophomore year, but you know what? Forget all that. This is a new season. We're 0-0 right here. I got a shot to redeem myself.
So Bruce Seals to the line, 83% this season. His dad, Bruce, same name, played in the NBA for the Seattle Supersonics and for the Utah Stars of
ABA.
the ABA back in the mid-70s.
I love the ABA. I was a big ABA fan.
Do you remember his dad playing ball? No? What are you? You're only a couple years older than me. You wouldn't remember, well, mid-late 70s in the NBA.
Big ABA fan. The first game I ever went to was at Nassau Coliseum, the New York Nets and the Kentucky Colonels. Dr. J.
Dan Issel.
Dan Issel. Louis Dampier.
Yeah.
A guy named Artis Gilmore. He wasn't too bad. Billy Napoltz.
How big was the hair back then for Artis?
Oh, he had it going on. And they had the Whopper Billy Poltz.
Right.
Cabo getting on the offensive glass. And that's the thing that Siena does so well. They take those long shots, so the ball comes off a bit long. You get in that mid-range area as an offensive rebounder, you're in good shape. Cabo getting right to it.
Jared Johnson back in. Dave Holmes goes out. Been a quiet game tonight for Dave Holmes.
And he has been dominant in the 2 meetings that these teams have had. 15.5 points and 9 rebounds in the 2 meetings against Siena. He averaged.
And he's played just 9 minutes here tonight.
You know, he talked about it in the open. He and Brown combined for 29 points and 17 rebounds in the 2 games on average. So it was a major key for this squad to get it done. I like what Manhattan just ran there. They ran a little set against the zone. They screened the interior. Johnson trying to free up Brown. That's a nice bit of coaching there by Bobby Gonzalez. You don't see much of that in the game today where people screen the zone, but I tell you what, it's an effective measure to attack the zone.
Spud Johnson, look away pass to Jared Johnson. And the Jaspers retake the lead, 48-47.
Heads up play as well. Jared Johnson set the screen on the zone once again. Johnson then gets it back to him after the screen, and he knocks it down.
Cabo for 3.
And
the Saints retake the lead, 50-48.
He is on fire, and he's doing such a good job coming off that ball screen, stepping back, hands ready. He's got a quick release.
Well, he shot 45% to lead the America East Conference a couple of years ago at New Hampshire.
I'd say a good acquisition in terms of the transfer route for the Saints.
Much like Michael Schmidt for Niagara. In terms of having led another conference in 3-point shooting, then coming to the back.
Look at that, 8 of 16, perimeter D, letting the Jaspers down. And Archibald
earns a trip.
He sure does, and as I mentioned earlier, he can go in the low post, he can beat you on the perimeter, shooting the jumper, put it to the floor, and he's got enough versatility where he can take you inside. The 6'5" junior out of Brooklyn Robeson High School, they've turned out a bunch of good ones.
Alan Griffin,
to name a few. Danny Walker, a fine player at Hofstra.
Phil Grant.
Phil Grant.
At Iona.
That's right. You can rattle it all off here.
Archibald has had himself a relatively quiet ball game as well. That's 6 points now for the 6'6" junior.
You know, an interesting point about Siena, you know, as they've been dominant at home, 11-2 this year. Their average margin of victory, 13 points. They've won 39 of their last 43 games at the Pepsi Center. Yet they're starting to do a great job as well away from home. They've won 5 of their last 6. So they're not intimidated any bit going on the road, whether it be a neutral court, someone else's building, and getting it done. And that's a tough thing when you're a team that relies so much on perimeter shooting. But they have really gotten it done down the stretch, and you know why? The D has improved greatly.
Right. Well, it's no coincidence that that comes on the heels of getting whacked twice on the road trip to Western New York by Canisius and Niagara. Those losses enabled Louis Orr to really get the attention.
Hey guys, we got to defend people.
You got to defend. We can't give up 95 a night.
You know, because particularly when you shoot the ball so much. Jared Johnson, I made the point about him earlier, doing the little things, a valuable member of the squad. You're right, you live so much and died so much by the 3, you got to bring it the other end just as much. Look at the ball movement, that was beautiful.
Archibald for 3.
Masiello getting the penetration on the baseline, drawing 2 to him. Stewart, the quick reversal pass. Beautiful presentation for the open look. That's good team basketball. I talked about it in the open. Making the extra pass, ball movement, giving up good ones to get great ones. That was a great look.
Spud Johnson. Pass deflected out of bounds by Carmen Massarello. And we have a timeout. We'll step away. From the HSBC Arena, the Manhattan Jaspers down 4 to the Siena Saints in the MAAC quarterfinals on the MAAC Television Network.
St. Peter's College, the Jesuit College of New Jersey. For more than 125 years, St. Peter's College has offered students from all economic, cultural, and social backgrounds an unsurpassed education in liberal arts, business, education, the sciences, and more, including championship athletic programs that stress academic excellence. St. Peter's College, diverse, international, Catholic, Jesuit, with campuses in Jersey City and Englewood Cliffs. St. Peter's College, the Jesuit College of New Jersey.
Siena 54, Manhattan 50, 11:53 to go here in the second half of our MAAC quarterfinal. And fans, the Pepsi MAAC Player of the Year announced on Thursday, Damon Stewart, Niagara senior guard, led the league in scoring at over 20 per game, led his team in rebounding at nearly 8 per game, and all-around 6'3" guard, forward if you will. Terrific player, the Pepsi MAAC Player of the Year, Damon Stewart. And as we take a look at the Chase MAAC Players of the Week, throughout the season, Damon Stewart's name pops up amongst all the rest of the stars, and pretty much everybody you see on this list wound up being honored in one form or fashion on Thursday, whether it being first team, second team, or third team, Jack.
Big season for those young men right there, and got ourselves a terrific game as well.
Foul on the inbound before the shot. Darrell Brown doing some lobbying.
Bobby Gonzalez so excited because he got Darrell Brown freed up, going right down the gut for 2. And instead, on the floor, foul. So 4th foul, big one.
Miller stays in for the time being. Clinton will come in at the next break. Darrell Brown way up for the rebound. Didn't get the roll, though, but the tip goes in. Darrell Brown doing some work. Here's Justin Miller, fouled, and he will go to the line. David Holmes prevented the basket.
A lot of contact there. Justin Miller doing a nice job on the made field goal, leaking out. Look at Miller running the floor. He's got good hands in the open court, gathers and goes strong. Hard foul by Holmes, and yep,
a good foul.
Exactly, and here comes Mr. Miller. It's Miller time.
Although
not time to relax, though.
That's been a while. I'm not going to sing with
when
you,
it's
Jack.
Time to relax.
I'm old enough to remember that ad. One beer stands. If Miller makes this second, he will be replaced. He's got 15 points to lead Siena, but 4 personal fouls. James Clinton waiting to check in if Miller makes number 2.
What a tremendous season he's had as a rookie for the Saints. I mean, talk about, you know, he was on the fence after Paul Hewitt went to Georgia Tech. He was really wavering whether to go to Siena, and he decided to honor his commitment. And I'd say Coach Louis Orr, a happy camper that he did. He has been a godsend for this team.
Well, Coach Orr and his wife, one of their first duties upon taking the job, headed out to Jamestown and had a long talk with Justin, laid it all out to see if they were going to be on the same page. And the fact that Lewis had the long NBA resume as a 6'8", 6'9" guy very much appealed to Justin, along with the fact that he's clearly a terrific guy himself, Coach Orr.
Class act all the way.
Seals with the layup. He's got 18 points to lead the Jaspers. Big game for the sophomore out of Ashland, Massachusetts. Siena's lead back down to 2. He's gotten that back into the game, pulls the trigger, and hits the 3-point jumper.
They are shooting their lights out from 3-point range. Just getting it done.
That's 10 out of 18 for Siena outside the 3-point line.
You know, they talked about the fact the 2 other games that they played, they only made 11 threes combined. They were 11 for 41 from 3-point range.
Siena, you're talking
Siena.
about, yeah.
Tonight, 10 of 18. So they have done, and again, it all comes down to the better spacing in their offense. They're crisper in their passes. And you know what? That gives them that much more daylight to get that shot off in rhythm and with the opportunity to get the clean look at the basket. And that raises your level of percentage a great deal.
There you see the
Enough
numbers.
said.
10 out of 18 for the Saints, while the Jaspers still have not connected from downtown here in the second half. Von Damian Green can't change that. Darrell Brown, though, continues to work on the glass.
Get on my back. I am a senior. I don't want to go home.
19.
Plus, it's going to snow in the Apple. It's much nicer up here in balmy Buffalo.
Scott Knapp called for the offensive foul. Spud Johnson drew it.
Good job, Spud Johnson. Tell you what, you give him a lot of credit. Battling tonight. Looking to move the feet here. A little bit of hand check there beforehand. They always see the second one. Could have gone either way there. Scott Knapp, I don't think was happy with the hand check, and that was a reaction. Execution, oh so important right now for the Jaspers. And how about getting it down Broadway to your big fella for an easy 2. Great play call right here. You got a hot hand. I think you get it to him every single time until he begs to come out of the game. And you know what? Then you ignore him.
Foul on Seals.
Look at the execution here. I love it. I always have been a big proponent, particularly when you're not on your home court. Shooting percentages drop. Go inside. Look at the pass on the baseline.
Wow.
Beautiful delivery
Precision.
by Green. And the seal and the catch and the take all in once. Nice.
Very nice, all the way around. Darrell Brown piling up the points, 21. He is now the 3rd all-time leading scorer in Manhattan College history on the strength of his big night tonight in the quarterfinals.
Robbie Gonzalez must have said to me 5 times about how much Brown has been unselfish this year and bought into what he's doing. The talent level on this Manhattan squad clearly is better this year. And that meant that he had to kind of give up a little bit of what he got and give it to some teammates, and he's done that willingly. You know, and it's paid dividends because the improvement of this program. So right now, it's his moment.
You know what? We were at senior day for Manhattan College last weekend, Jack. Glenn and I were, Glenn Consor and I. After the game, Darrell Brown made a point to come over to Glenn and I and say he was glad that we were there for his senior day. I mean, that to me speaks volumes.
Class act. And I use that word a lot because there are a lot of people in this league that do it right. Good call.
Whistle and a foul on Seals again.
He was holding Archibald. They tried to run a little double screen on the left side. Archibald coming off it. And now Seals held him. 4th personal.
Number 8 on Manhattan.
You know, we saw it before with Joe Mahalik, Damon Stewart. Bob Gonzalez has a little bit more of a luxury. He can go to his bench more so than Joe Mahalik could.
Although not too much more, you know. With Justin Jaquette out, Noah Coughlin out, you really only have 3 healthy bodies ready to go on that Manhattan bench.
Bob Gonzalez, a little advice for his youngster, and points in the paint tonight. Manhattan getting it done, 30-14. But the difference has been all those bombs that the Saints have been knocking down. Wow, 2 misses.
So many of those points in the paint for Manhattan have been on Bruce Seals' drives as opposed to settling for the jump shot, and on Darrell Brown just doing as usual.
As well as the offensive rebounding effort.
Here is Brown, single coverage by Cavo.
Bobby Gonzalez just making a concerted effort right now. Get the ball in Darrell Brown's hands, draw the double, set up some offensive flow from there.
Good things happen.
Like that.
Spud Johnson had too much time. Archibald fouled by Clark.
Spud Johnson, you can't ask for a better shot opportunity. Green penetrated it, got him the clean look, and you made a great point. He had too much time. Sometimes you think.
Absolutely.
That's the old line in baseball. You can't think and hit at the same time. I think Yogi Berra said it, among other things. But look at the opportunity and
too much time.
Knapp, a little acting job on that, but
because you lose your rhythm.
No question. You can't think about it. You just got to jack it up. And you know what? Your shot is made before you even shoot it. You've got to be ready, hands and feet, and in rhythm, in sync, and catch the ball, and as it's presented to you, be ready to knock it down. And sometimes you catch it and you gather, you try to get too cute. If you do all of it before you receive it and just catch it and fire it, it makes a big difference.
Trying to be
mechanics.
Shot ready.
Exactly, shot ready, mechanics. Fundamental play.
8:47 to go here in the second half.
You know who's a tremendous teacher of that? Mike Dean, the former head coach at Siena.
Yep.
His teams were so good. You needed so little daylight to get their shots off. I thought he did an outstanding job with that component.
One of the guys is sitting just down the road from us, now the color analyst on the Siena radio broadcast, Tom Herter. He was the perfect
That's all he did.
shot-ready guy at the three-point line for Mark Brown or Doremus Bennerman to penetrate and kick. You had Mike Brown, another guy. They derived so much of their offense because they were shot ready.
And plus they had Mark Brown, Doremus Bennerman, who could get in the lane, create help scenarios, and kick it to them.
Archbold trying to feed Berman on the post. Jared Johnson denying it, and he's whistled for the foul. Foul's starting to pile up. That's number 10 on the Jaspers here in the second half. And so Berman will shoot 2.
Berman will shoot 2 at 63% from the line. And mentioned earlier, he played well the first time these two teams met at the Pepsi Center. 4th foul on Jared Johnson. 12 points, 4 rebounds in their first meeting. Berman getting every bit of the rim, and it counts.
Clark goes out. Johnson back in. Michael Johnson, that is. Berman can't get the second. Jared Johnson the rebound. 62-58, Siena with the lead, Manhattan with the basketball. Here's Darrell Brown right around Berman. Oh, no basket, no call. Archbold and Brown collided, and there was no whistle.
Wow.
Out of bounds, and we've got a timeout.
Gonzalez saying, where's the call?
7:59 to go in the second. Siena on top by 4 on the MAAC Television Network. Back at the HSBC Arena in Buffalo, Siena leading Manhattan 62-58. Standing by Teal with a very special guest. Teal?
Well, hey, guys, you were talking so nicely about Darrell Brown. I've got Daniel Brown here with me today. You made the trip out here to see your son play. Talk about today's game.
Well, today's game is very exciting. Siena's making us play a real harder game than what we might thought it may have been. But we're going to pull through it, though. They're playing us real tight on defense and hitting a lot of threes, which makes it hard for us to get into our defense.
And your son must have learned from you, because I understand that you coach many AAU teams back in Connecticut.
Yes, I do. We have a very good program, Connecticut Select. Darrell's one who played for me from about the time he's been 8, 9 years old. So he's always been under my tutelage.
Okay, enjoy the rest of the game.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you. Back to you guys.
Well, Mr.
Thank
Brown,
you, Teal, and
you
Mr.
taught your
Brown,
son
yes.
well, I'll tell you what.
Well, here's what Bobby Gonzalez said during the Senior Day celebration when Mr. and Mrs. Brown came out. Bobby pulls him aside and said, "Can you get me another one?"
And plus he coaches AAU, so, you know, recruiting's like breathing. You got to do it every second. And Gonzo, the master.
Well, you know, Gonzo didn't get Darrell Brown. He inherited Darrell Brown.
John Leonard.
That's right.
Assistant commissioner of the MAAC. And also just a tremendous player as well in his day. You talk about the great players in Manhattan, the Brian Mahoney's, the Keith Bullocks, Larry Lembo, Tim Kane, Pete Runge. John Leonard right up there with all of them.
Yep. Out of Niskayuna High School, played at Manhattan College, and then with the Knicks for a little bit. At least he was a draft pick. Did he ever get into a, was he on a regular season roster?
Part of UB Brown's camp there with the Knicks. That's way back. John, now the fine assistant commissioner, sitting right next to Rich Henser at the table, and Sean Brennan, the brain trust of the
power
MAAC
trio.
conference.
Look at that. None of them are on headsets, so we can say what we want.
Yeah, they are.
Although you know it'll all get back to him.
Yeah, taking in all the action right near the Siena bench.
Isaiah Stewart, backdoor Cavo. He missed another one.
Oh, chippy.
62-59, Siena with the lead, Manhattan with the ball. 7.5 minutes to go. Jared Johnson. Double team. Darrell Brown had it knocked away. Knapp comes away with it.
That was good post D that time. Berman and Cavo. Bob Gonzalez wants the call, but good reaction and the help.
Archbold tips off the Knapp miss. Rebound, Jared Johnson.
They are letting these guys play. Doug, there is a lot of contact the last few minutes here. Loose whistles right now. It's called pretty tight most of the night, but it's gotten a little loose here. Just my critique, that's all.
That's what you're paid to do. Seals. Spud Johnson.
Good decision right there. Don't force the issue. 30 on the shot clock. Big possession. You're stuck 3. You're fighting all night.
Cavo knocks it into the corner. Now 20 on the shot clock. Von Damian Green, who with about 2 minutes left in the first half, left with a back problem. Back and playing. Lost his footing on the way up. No call. Looked like he slipped. Although he gets up looking at the officials. Clearly, Muggsy has not been the same here in the second half. Stewart fouled by Jared Johnson.
This game has become really ragtag. And, you know, when you talk about that type of game, it's going to favor Siena because they have the better depth. And his going to the basket, Isaiah Stewart, and that's the 5th personal foul
on Jared Johnson.
Wow, he's done a nice job tonight for the Jaspers.
Got the start, 8 points, 8 rebounds, about 20 minutes of action, hit all 4 of his field goal attempts.
I'm a big Jared Johnson fan, if you noticed.
Yeah, you're not the only one. But Jared Johnson fouls out, actually had 9 points, hit a free throw just a couple of seconds ago. So the sophomore forward from the Bronx is done for the day.
By the way, while I have a chance, I want to make sure I send out a hello to Rita Killeran, the grandmother of Michael Malone, Bobby Gonzalez's fine assistant. Obviously, Mike Malone, the son of Brendan Malone, the assistant coach of the Indiana Pacers, formerly the head coach of the Toronto Raptors, been in the NBA for many years with the Knicks. And Michael Malone, there he is right behind you.
Yep.
His grandma getting over surgery, so we just want to say hello to Rita Killeran back in New York.
Absolutely.
Mikey Mo, fine player at Loyola, by the way.
Yes,
lead guard there.
Talk about some of the days back at the MAAC earlier in the 20-year history.
And I know his dad, Brendan, very proud. His son choosing the same profession.
Brendan, another former Syracuse assistant.
That's right, the Jim Boeheim. And Brendan was a great coach at Powell Memorial as well. Unfortunately, that school shut down in Manhattan.
Yeah. Obviously, Lou Alcindor, the big man out of there.
Not a lot of people remember this, but Chris Mullen played there for 2 years before transferring to Severian High School. So
I didn't remember that.
Everybody remembers Chris Mullen.
Yeah, wow. I had no
Severian
idea.
High School in Brooklyn. He actually went to Powell Memorial for 2 years. 2+ years, actually 2.5 years.
Was the reason he left, did it coincide with the shutting down of Powell Memorial?
No, he just decided to
move on.
Well, actually, his grammar school coaches from St. Thomas Aquinas in Brooklyn were the coaches at Severian High School, so he decided to go play for them. In this day and age of free agent.
That's right. Move on. Oh, when did Powell Memorial shut down? Do you remember?
I am taking a wild guess here. I would say 83. The last top player from there was Mario Ellie.
Still in the league.
Played at American International.
Yep. Got a couple of NBA championship rings.
Sure did. And by the way, Siena has had their share of trouble this year when they've played on TV. They're only 2-5. But here's a more important stat. They're 4-1 on Saturdays and 5-3 on Sundays. So the question for you is, if they win or lose, which day are we going to do?
Right.
It's
at the rate we're going, it's almost
Does it count
Sunday.
towards their Saturday record or their Sunday record? You have to get verification from the MAAC office on that one.
Now, all those statistics you're throwing out
are completely meaningless.
When you were a coach, had a reporter asked you that about the relevance of those stats, what would you have said?
I would say you're the master of completely nonsensical information. I just thought we had a little break there, throw a little levity into the situation, have a few laughs.
Oh, you're right. We're going to have that big question in about 13 minutes. Exactly. Is it a Saturday game or a Sunday game? Seals. Air ball with a chance to tie, comes up missing the iron, and so Siena gets it back. 5:42 showing on the clock.
Bobby Gonzalez looking at him like, why? Early in the shot clock, plus he had no lift in his legs that time, real flat. Got to drive those toes in the ground, get more extension on a jumper.
Massarello plenty of time, and he hits.
Norman can knock down that shot. We talked about him earlier. A valuable contribution, the transfer for New Hampshire.
Relatively limited playing time. A kid who averaged 11 points a game and was a captain as a junior at New Hampshire. Comes to be a role player at Siena.
They had a lot of changes at New Hampshire. Jeff Jackson, a coach that was there that recruited him, left, and once again, the free agent mentality, greener pastures.
Well,
literally.
Both he and Cavo thought the opportunity of winning was much greater coming back closer to home to Siena, where UNH, I don't know, their last year won 4 or 5 games. That
really
was it.
Struggled.
Dave Holmes is at the line for Manhattan.
And it works both ways. I mean, when you're on the losing end, when you have a player that leaves you, it's a devastating effect on your program. When you're on the receiving end, you don't think of that. And Siena, one of those lucky recipients, more so than the ones losing it, because it's such a solid program, great fan base, tremendous support there in the Capital District.
Dave Holmes on the all-rookie team, 6'7" freshman from Oak Hill Academy down in Virginia, native of Washington, D.C. Played his sophomore and junior years at Coolidge High School before heading to the basketball factory. Yet another player moving on and up. Isaiah Stewart hits a big three. It's a 7-point Siena lead, just under 5 minutes to go.
Remember the point I made? They only shot 11 for 41 in their first 2 meetings from three-point line. They have made, look at that, they have made 12 threes. So they've made more tonight than they made in the other 2 meetings.
And 6 out of 8 here in the second half.
And look at the three-point shooting for Manhattan has completely betrayed them. 0 of 8. And you know what? You're trying to pound it inside on a consistent basis to Darrell Brown, but he's got no help. And the more you miss those shots on the perimeter, the less quality touches inside with single coverage that he gets. And now the defense sloughs further and further into his lap, becomes a less effective player.
Darrell Brown at the line. .24 points for the senior from New Britain, Connecticut. Good look at Darrell. First team All-MAAC last year. You know, he's been hot closing out this senior season. He's averaged 25 points a game over the last 5. And he is right there again here tonight.
He was the MAAC Player of the Week last week as well, the final season of the regular season, final week of the regular season.
Austin Andrews in the game for the Saints with the ball, number 20. Sounds like there was a timeout called by Siena.
Look at the difference there in terms of the style of play. Three-point shooting, free throw shooting. We talked about it so many times early on in this game. That's Siena's game. When they get it going behind the arc, 12 threes, and they make 20 free throws, and they're 22nd in the country in free throw shooting, that's what gets it done. If you're going to script it, put together a recipe for success for the 20th win for the Saints, this is it.
And that leads us to...
Go ahead.
The long-distance shooter update. Scott Knapp, senior co-captain for Siena, now the most prolific three-point shooter in the history of the MAAC. Won it for the second time this year. Brought to you by Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. Once again, the proud sponsor of the MAAC long-distance shooter of the year.
You know, Siena is one of those teams high-octane offensively. They're 11-2 when they get 80-plus points. They're only 7-7 when they're below 80. So this game's got a pretty good chance of getting to 80.
Right now, 70-65 with 4.5 to go. The way the Saints are shooting in the second half, they shouldn't have a problem getting to 80.
It might be a scenario where they have to give fouls late in the game. So
here is
their style. That's the team that plays. Really love playing the up-tempo game.
Knapp, nice look away. Miller missed the layup. And a foul, either Cavo or Miller. If it's Miller, that's his 5th.
You know, Cavo has missed 2 tips. Miller, I mean, if you're Louis Orr right now, you're saying there's about 6 or 8 points that we should have had on gimmies around the basket. Playmaking, once again, a little no-look opportunity. Justin Miller, see how he shot the ball with his right hand. Take the ball up with your left so your right arm can then ward off the defense. Defender kind of bothered that shot a little bit. I see too many guys shooting the ball on the weak side with their strong hand instead of shooting it and making sure the defense has to come across their body. Protect the ball with your body.
And Miller, as a freshman, does have a left hand on the post.
Oh,
We've seen him go the left side on many occasions.
And believe me, though, I see it in the NBA. There are guys in the NBA that go off the wrong foot when they're in the lane. I'm saying, how could that be? But they're so talented athletically that it overcomes any skill deficiencies they might have. It's a little basketball one-on-one for you.
That's all right. I like that. Well, I like sharing a microphone with you for 12 hours a day. Manhattan down 5. Jasper's down 4.
Holmes on the season, 74% from the line, 11th in the MAAC. Impressive for a front court guy who gets a lot of buckets inside, drawing some fouls, taking care of business at the stripe. One possession game here for the Jaspers. No quit in Bobby Gonzalez's troops.
And this is how it's been pretty much the whole second half. A 1-point, 2-point, 3-point, 4-point game. But Manhattan's been trailing for the most part. Isaiah Stewart being hounded by Von Damian Green. Stewart takes him to the hole, puts up the runner. Rebound Archbold, and we've got a rebounding foul. Holmes over the back.
That was excellent defense by Green. Stewart a little out of control on the take to the bucket, but Green, good containment that time. That's one you got to drive it to the baseline, swing it back out, make the second pass out of there, and they've done that so well tonight.
As you see, number 4 on Holmes.
He is struggling tonight with his free throw. Everything's a little bit short. And he's such a good free throw shooter during the course of the season. 13th in the league. He's laughing at himself.
Yep.
5 of 9. I mean, how many times did you see Dwayne Archibald miss 4 free throws in a game? I guess we just saw it.
See if he makes it 5. Gets the roll on that one. And Siena's lead is back to 4. Back to a 2-possession game, and we've got ourselves a timeout. It is crunch time. 3:54 to go in our 4th quarterfinals. Siena leading by 4 on the MAAC television network.
What are those stories?
About people. Let's try an interval of about 15 milliseconds. Because that's half of what the PISA was.
The aspects of the retreat, like you talked about friendship.
It's also about what that knowledge means for the human spirit. I know that students are concerned about
This game is brought to you in part by HSBC, your world of financial services. The Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. Citizens Communications, the official telecommunications company of the MAAC. And by Chase Manhattan Bank, the right relationship is everything. It is a late night in Buffalo, just 3 minutes before midnight, and boy,
isn't that cute?
When are we going home?
And this copyrighted telecast at a MAAC conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC Properties. Back to you, Doug.
That was 3.5 seconds, I think. A little quicker than the last one.
Look at that young man. That is adorable.
Out like a light.
Let's hope they have this game on VCR, tape it.
Yeah.
Be a nice thing for him to look at years later. Wearing green, we don't know which team he's rooting for, though.
Yeah, really. Although I don't know if he has any rooting interest right now.
No, not right now. Siena, as they do on every inbound situation, changing up 2-3 zone.
Von Damian Green into Holmes. Spins around Berman. Missed it, though. Seals the offensive rebound and the putback. It's back to a 2-point game.
Archibald falling down, created that. That was a nice job inside by Holmes, posting up, taking it strong. This Manhattan team shows absolutely no quit.
Bruce Seals now with 20 points. Ball knocked away. It'll be Siena ball. Darrell Brown leads the way with 25. There's 20 for Bruce Seals. Just one off his season high that he had against St. Peter's back in mid-January.
A team takes on the personality of its head coach. And, Bobby Gonzalez, a lively, intense individual.
Yep.
And his team playing with that same personality trait.
Isaiah Stewart, this time, a little more control, and he kissed it in.
Good point. And Green did a real good job that time. On the previous one, sorry. And then that time, Stewart using the size advantage. He's 6'5". Take it in and shoot it over him.
Dave Holmes from the top of the key. Nothing but net. It's back to a 1-point game. 2:40 to go.
Even though he's 6'7", he's very capable, shooting 34% behind the arc. And hit his career high against Siena, 21, when they hooked up back in Albany.
At the Pepsi
Arena.
Coming off the bench at the Pepsi Arena with 21.
We have had, we said we were going to have 2 good games tonight.
Absolutely.
And we've had it.
Not a betting man, but I was convinced that it was going to go right down to the wire, both of them. As we near the midnight hour here in Buffalo. Seals called for the reach-in. Is that number 5 on Bruce?
Sure
Indeed it is. Number 5 on Seals, so his night is done. 20 points, 1 off his season high, and Seals being consoled by Holmes. Sure.
Look at the overplay here on the wing. We'll get a good look at it. Seals getting out in the wing. He does the right thing. So many players reach with the bottom hand and they get called for it. He did that fundamentally correct. He reached with the top hand. Tough call. It looked like he had his other hand in his back as he reached. Bobby Gonzalez got to be proud of that young man. I talked about the fact that they really needed him tonight to assert himself in the absence of Justin Jaquette. Noah Coughlin obviously has been out for quite a while, and he did it tonight.
20 points.
That's a springboard for him for tomorrow. If they win, and if they don't win, it's a springboard for next year. Confidence.
Well, Canisius is awaiting the winner of this ball game in tomorrow's 2:30 semifinal. Wayne Archbold hits the first. He has 13 points. 4 different Siena players in double figures. Stewart's got 14, Archbold 13, Cavo 11, and Miller 16.
I always felt coming back from this game, it was so 6 Midnight Madness bracket, and the next night, your legs are just shot. As much as Canisius is wasted, they're all hanging out in their dorm room right now, having some pizza, watching this game, going right to bed. These guys won't get to bed for another hour and a half.
Siena's lead once again is 3. Manhattan in their road green uniforms as the lower seed. Rebound Archbold.
I'm going to tell the Canisius guys back in the dorm, save me a slice.
Yeah, you can swing by the campus on your way back home.
Beautiful, majestic Main Street campus there, downtown Buffalo.
Here's Clinton on the post. Offensive foul against James Clinton.
Oh, terrific job inside.
Taking a great
Holmes.
shot.
I mean, right on the numbers. Clinton.
Right on the sternum.
Look at him move the feet, though. Get in position. Oh, my goodness. I wonder who the hammer was and who the nail was. I would say Mr. Clinton was the hammer. And the nail was Mr. Holmes.
Yes. I've lost it.
The hammer, the nail. The guy who hits is the hammer. The nail's the recipient of the hit.
I'm with you.
Okay, just want to.
It's 12:01.
It's like who, the fly or the windshield.
Here are our Chase Rookies of the Week, a little retrospective for the 2000-2001 season. Mook Reeves, B.J. Davis, Greg Jenkins, John Reimold, Justin Miller, Courtney Fields, and Mook Reeves again. You see the rest. David Holmes, a great second half of the season for the freshman out of Oak Hill Academy.
Crucial possession here for the Jaspers. Stuck 3, their ball. Timeouts. Manhattan with no timeouts remaining. Siena with 1 full. Look at that. That is going to be quite a challenge here.
Long way to go. Minute 46.
This is why you work so much in practices, particularly at the end of practices on special situations, because your team's got to be prepared a lot of times to do it on their own with none of your help.
High post Holmes. Rebound Clark. Another chance for the Jaspers. They're down by 3.
Jerry Clark only playing 96 minutes this season. The biggest minutes he's played in his Manhattan career. Crunch time for the sophomore.
And Von Damian Green, who was injured late in the first half, sat out with a back problem, now asserting himself.
Talk about pure guts. This guy's come out.
Played a lot of minutes in spite of that injury. He's not been as effective as usual.
He doesn't have that extra burst that he normally gets by guys and just gets to the rack at will, but he's just playing on hard tonight.
He started all 28 games, now all 29 games so far this season for the Jaspers, but he misses a big free throw.
And you think about the 5th-rated free throw shooter in the league at 81%. That is a rarity. But we've seen Archbold miss 4 tonight. So go figure.
Here comes number 2 for Von Damian.
That was nothing but cord.
True to form. 6 points now for Green. It's a 2-point game.
Manhattan showing full court pressure again.
Michael Johnson called for the foul on the push. So Scott Knapp, the leading free throw shooter in the conference, will shoot 2, and that's the 5th foul on Spud Johnson.
That's the thing, you got to make the decision. You know, you Spud Johnson, you're going to roll the dice and gamble like that. There is the chance you're going to knock someone over, and if you do that, particularly Scott Knapp, who is money from the line, 90% tops in the league. Risk versus reward. He took the risk, got burned.
So the senior guard from New Orleans, Louisiana, has fouled out with 4 points, and Bobby Gonzalez has to continue to work now to find people to work.
He's got a guy like Sean Kelly. This is a homecoming from him, local kid from Orchard Park, New York, sitting there in the bench saying, really? I'm going to get this game? Maybe.
Well, Seals and Johnson have both fouled out, and Muggsy Green has an iffy back. Where do you go? Although Muggsy has played a strong second half.
Well, Kendrick Moore, who was a terrific player at Providence when Bobby Gonzalez and Mike Malone were there, he's on the bench as an assistant. Mike Malone could play the game a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
Suit those guys up.
So Knapp, a 6'3" senior from Sherrill, New York, outside of Utica, to shoot 2.
I jinxed the poor kid.
9th best free throw shooter in the country.
More importantly, tops in the MAAC conference.
That's right. 0 for 1 right now. Scott Knapp gets 1 out of 2. He has 9 points. Once again, a Siena 3-point lead. Cavo called for the reach. That's number 4 on Andy Cavo. The fouls piling up on both sides.
Foul number 2, Andy Cavo. That's his 4th personal.
Willie Haynes has come back in for Manhattan. He's out there with Clark, Brown, Green, and Holmes. Siena's got Archbold, Clinton, Stewart, Knapp, and Andy Cavo.
Willie Haynes, a local product from Rochester as well, so a lot of upstate New York connections here.
Here is Darrell Brown, 25 points to lead all scorers here tonight. I should say this morning. Sunday game? This is a Sunday game now for you, Jack.
Bobby Gonzalez is saying to his team and himself, can we just get one stop? Just one opportunity with the ball, stuck one, to have a chance to get a lead here. Just one chance. That's all you want.
This is a new season high for Darrell Brown. He gets only 1 out of 2 then. 26 points is career high, 36 last year against Niagara.
You know, you're stuck 2, plenty of time. This is what you work all season on, your man-to-man D, getting a stop in a half court. Stepping up right now, getting it done.
Well, for one of these two teams, this is it. Under a minute to go. Archbold called for the offensive foul.
And they go inside Archbold. He's got the quickness inside. They love using him in the post. But Darrell Brown, the crafty, wily veteran, the senior, putting the arm in the back. Back it in. Pretty good call. Here we go. Got a chance to tie right here.
Or the chance to take the lead, Jack, if they can knock down a 3. You see the time remaining in regulation. Darrell Brown fouled by Cavo, so he's disqualified. And Brown back to the line to shoot 2. A war of attrition.
Bobby Gonzalez is a young guy, but he's got a very bright future in this game. He really has done a nice job with his set play calls. I mean, he learned, I'll tell you what, a guy I have so much respect for, Pete Gillen. He learned from a tremendous college coach working as an assistant for him at Xavier in Providence and Virginia. I mean, Pete is a very underrated guy. I mean, you know, he tells a lot of jokes and he's real funny, but when you talk about a tremendous tactician and teacher of the game, there are a few better. And Bobby Gonzalez, you can say, watch a lot of the things that they do and his style and mannerisms as a coach, you see a lot of Pete Gillen in him.
There's Coach Gonzalez talking with Willie Haynes.
I mean, he's doing the smart things. He's getting touches inside for his big fella. They're not shooting the ball well, so scrap that. Go inside and just keep going at them and make them stop you.
You've got good free throw shooters up and down the lineup. Darrell Brown, 75%. Von Damian Green, 81%. Dave Holmes, 75%. Willie Haynes also in the game. He's a good free throw shooter, 79%.
And remember the point I made. I mean, Brown and Holmes have dominated Siena inside, a combined 29 points in the 2 games this season. So why not? I mean, the odds are in your favor. The numbers prove it. Siena, as good as they are on the perimeter, they're a little bit soft inside. That's their weakness. Go at them.
And now both Miller and Cavo have fouled out. So you've got Michael Berman and James Clinton underneath. We are tied at 76. Last time Manhattan led was 13 minutes ago. Siena trying to reclaim the lead. 30 seconds left here in the second half, and Louis Orr calls for a timeout. We've got 3.8 seconds different in the shot clock and the game clock, so the Saints will work it down, most likely looking for something that Coach Orr is going to diagram here.
Well, if you're Bobby Gonzalez right now, you talk to your ball club about any screen scenarios with the perimeter players, switch them, get out, contain penetration, contest shots, be very active because this team shot it so well. And on those long shots are going to be long rebounds. We remember the Kenesha save just before. A lot of times in these scenarios, broken plays win it for you. A loose ball, and now a quick kick for a guy making a 3 or a shot, and someone retrieving it on the offensive glass and putting it back. So contain, contest, box out, get possession, keep it simple.
Tied at 76. Siena got this game underway a couple of hours ago on a 9-0 run. But that was somewhat of an aberration. Manhattan got right back into it, and it has been nip and tuck the entire way.
Tell you what, you came to the night session tonight here at the HSBC Arena. You got your money's worth.
Clive Bentick with the heroics for Canisius, tipping in his own miss with 1/10 of a second to go to win the other quarterfinal tonight. And then Siena and Manhattan going right to the wire. The Saints led by 3 at halftime, 36-33. What do you got for us, Jack?
Timmy McAlee just walked over to me, the official, and he did the Manhattan-Siena fiasco at Madison Square Garden a few weeks back. I did that game, 56-51 game. That was not a good game. He said, Jack, this one's a whole lot better than that one. I agree with him 100%. It's been a terrific ball game.
And it's probably going to get a whole lot better. One of these teams is going to walk away in the next few seconds with a win into the semifinals. The other will go home. Their season perhaps coming to an end. 20 seconds left on the clock. 10 seconds on the shot clock. 6 seconds to shoot. Here goes Archbold one-on-one with Haynes. Kick to the corner. Stewart for the lead. He hits it with 4.2 seconds to go. No timeouts for Manhattan. Here comes Von Damian Green with 2. He lost it on the way up, and the Siena Saints hold on to reach the semifinals.
Look at Bobby Gonzalez going to hug his guy, Muggsy Green. He's so proud of him. That's a great shot right there. That is a great shot right there. And a terrific win. You know, Isaiah Stewart left open on the left wing. I talked about broken plays, breaking your back, and we'll get a look at it right now. There was a breakdown defensively on the part of Manhattan. The dribble penetration by Archbold, getting in the lane, setting it up. Clean look. Again, you live and die on it. Late game situations, a lot of times it's not really your execution. It's a mistake the defense makes, and you playing off it. Siena, all night, their spacing, dribble penetration, getting behind the arc. Their three-point shooting told the story tonight.
No surprise, our Pepsi player of the game, Isaiah Stewart, 17 points, and he hit the game winner with 4 seconds to go. Broke a 76 all-time with a big three-pointer from the left corner. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi. Isaiah Stewart, high fives as he heads into the locker room.
Right here. Look at the breakdown. See, nobody near Stewart. The penetration setting the table.
You got to figure Manhattan defensively was thinking maybe Scott Knapp on the other wing. Instead, they go to Stewart. Who knows? Big shot for Isaiah Stewart. The Saints move into the semis. They'll take on Canisius tomorrow afternoon at 2:30. You're watching the MAAC Television Network. Back at the HSBC Arena, Siena has survived its game with Manhattan 79-76. The Saints